Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today we're going to discuss how to travel the world and pay no tax. Zilch, zero, that is it. And I'm going to combine a few different principles that we talk about in a bunch of other videos. If you haven't checked them out, we go through and discuss on this channel lots of different fundamentals of international tax planning, and there happen to be some that work well together if you're willing to live this kind of lifestyle. So buckle up, dive in. We are looking forward to covering this subject today. So before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful year. And if you would like help with the subjects we deal with here, which is international tax optimization, getting residencies, citizenships, setting yourself up around the world, please reach out to us. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send a message through our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com. Now, for those of you who are familiar and have watched this channel a bunch, when we go into different countries, I'm often talking about the corporate residency rules, about CFC rules, about source income rules, etc. Okay, these are kind of the main sets of rules that you need to be concerned about when you are setting yourself up to optimize your international tax. And we talk sometimes about, going to countries where there's zero tax. I'm today in UAE. UAE is zero tax country, hard to beat in that regard. We've done some other videos about, the 15 or 16 so countries worldwide that you can go that have no income tax, personal income tax anyway. And, so that's an option. Sometimes people have a little bit of a misnomer where they talk about going to a territorial tax country and they don't really understand quite what that means. And there's some nuances with how that plays out. And then they sometimes don't understand there's a bunch of other cases where it can work for them. There's also some cases where you can have countries that have low tax. But today I'm going to talk about countries that aren't necessarily that low tax, but have the right set of rules that, when combined with a basically perpetual traveler type lifestyle, will result in you not having to pay any tax or extremely low taxes. Okay, so how does this work? So first of all, what you want to do is you want to find a country that the main criteria here is you want a country that does not have controlled foreign companies rules. Okay, now, there's actually quite a few of these, right? You could pay attention to, for example, someplace like Montenegro, someplace like Thailand, someplace like Singapore. Okay, there's lots of places where this could be, and you want to not have any, or you want to get residency there. Okay, so in other words, your first key is to not be resident in a country that has controlled foreign companies rules, and then pick from the countries that, not be in countries that you have CFC rules, and get residency in a country that doesn't have CFC rules. Now, interestingly, with this strategy, you don't need to worry about corporate residency, you don't need to worry about source income, etc., which we're going to dive into in a second. So how does this work? Well, if you were a resident of the country and they had CFC rules, then if you have a foreign company, they may attribute income to you. Now, notably, this can be a high tax country in most cases, okay? Now, it does rule out all the EU countries because under the Anti-Tax Avoidance Directive, all those countries were required to implement CFC rules. So, for example, countries like Bulgaria that used to not have them as of 2019 or whatever, do have them. Kind of annoying, but anyway, that's fine. You're not going to spend that much time there anyway. So you're going to become resident in a country like this, which means you're going to get yourself a residence permit. That's going to be your base that you're going to travel from. Okay, it's going to be your habitual abode, as we might call it. It's going to be the permanent home that will be available to you, whatever it is that takes to be resident in that country. Now, basing yourself there, you're then going to set up an international company. That international company is going to be in some country or under some structure that will not result in corporate taxation. Okay, here's the important thing. Even if because you're going to be traveling constantly, even if the country that you're based in with your residency has, let's say, management control rules, it's okay because you're not going to be managing and controlling the company from that country. You're going to be gone all the time, so it's perfectly fine. Likewise, if there was permanent establishment rules, because you're traveling all the time, you're not going to be establishing a permanent establishment in all these places, right? You're going to be maybe a month in Bali, then a month in Mexico, then a month in Argentina, then a month in Spain, and then a month in Portugal, and then a month in, I don't know, Budapest, wherever, right? Some of these places. and you're going to go and do your travels, which are going to be wonderful. You probably return to whatever your base is, right? Maybe you were basing yourself in, say, Costa Rica, which doesn't have CFC rules, and you would say, okay, I'm going to go out over to, Southeast Asia, then I'm going to come back, then I'm going to go to South America, then I'm going to come back, then I'm going to go to Europe, then I'm going to go back, this sort of thing, right? This is your lifestyle. And then what's going to happen is, of course, because you're traveling constantly, and obviously you're going to, find some method, which is not really that difficult, to make your business about travel. The company is going to pay for everything for you, okay? So the company is going to make money. The company itself is not going to pay taxes because, number one, it's not registered in a country where there is taxes. Number two, there's no CFC rules you need to worry about. Number three, management and control rules you don't need to worry about because you're not there. And source income rules you're not going to have to worry about. Now the question then becomes, how do you benefit? Well, you're not going to be able to take the money personally as income because that income is going to be taxable, or to the extent that you take it, it could be taxable depending on the country that you're basing yourself in. But the company can be paying for everything for you, right? You're traveling, it can pay for your flights, it can pay for your hotels, it can pay for your food, it can pay for... One of the beautiful things a lot of times when you're in this situation is companies won't be able to pay for things for you if you're living in some place and it's your basic home, but when you're traveling on business, it can pay for all these things for you, right? You see this lots with corporate executives who are traveling. They'll have some sort of an expense account. The company is paying for their meals, etc., because, that's the requirement of them being out of town, etc. So this is basically it. It's not that difficult. Now, what does it require? It requires doing something which sounds more glamorous than it is, which is to continually travel. Anyone who's actually tried this will discover that it's, in theory, it sounds really good, right? Hey, listen, I could be in Bali for a month, then I can be in Mexico for a month, then I can be in Argentina for a month, and so on and so forth. Sounds great, these exotic destinations, maybe you're living in hotels, etc. The truth is, it's not that great, at least to me in practice, and I can tell you that everybody that I know who's done this has found that from a lifestyle standpoint, after a while, you just want to base. So it's probably not something that you want to do for, years on end. Although some people might, right? Some people are just natural nomads. They're kind of, they enjoy traveling like that. And that's cool. If that's you and you can get that to be the case, perfect. In this case, technically, you actually can have a base. You just, wouldn't do the business from that base. And so long as you don't, you could come back, you could spend a few weeks or a month and take off, and spend a few weeks or a month and take off, and so on. You just kind of partition your time in that regard. So anyway, pretty simple strategy, nothing too crazy, except for the fact that, it requires you to travel constantly. And look, let's be honest, traveling constantly could be awesome, right? Lots to love about it. It's just it'll kind of wear on you, most likely, over time. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have questions in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. I'm going to look forward to seeing you on the next video.